A lot of times with these coaches and coaches like Kevin Stefanski, it's ego over execution, it's plays over players. At the end of the day, you got to give this kid a shot to redeem himself. That's the beauty of being a rookie. You're going to go out there, you're going to struggle, you're going to have some success, you're going to struggle again, but you want to see them come out on the other side. Now, Shedeur had 5 sacks, 5 drives, just was trying to press, trying to impress coaches, the fans, trying to live up to what Dillon Gabriel just put out there on the field. And Kevin Stefanski handled that situation and this whole quarterback competition horribly, because you removed an opportunity for him to redeem himself in that situation.
Currently 4th in the depth chart in Cleveland. What do you think about what's going on with that, Sanders?
Oh, man, it's crazy how they're doing my boy, man, honestly. But he balled out. So I low-key love that he got this chance to play in this preseason game, because it showed, like, y'all can doubt him and y'all can say all that stuff y'all saying about him. But what God got for the boy, can't stop it. That way he put that wrist up.
That's
you
right.
see he put that wrist up. After that, when he tapped that wrist, like, make sure that watch still there.
That's right.
That watch still shining, boy.
Right.
It's still shining, boy.
You know, I don't like, I hate that he got the oblique injury now going into.
Kevin Stefanski just pulled off the NFL equivalent of accidentally texting your ex at 3 a.m. He went public and admitted he screwed up by benching Shedeur Sanders for Joe Flacco. Yes, the same Joe Flacco who moves around the pocket like he's looking for a lost remote. Now Stefanski is practically begging for forgiveness, calling it his biggest mistake. Biggest? Buddy coaching the Browns is already a 24/7 mistake. But now fans are wondering, did Stefanski just tank his own reputation? Or did he finally realize Sanders might be the only hope Cleveland's chaos machine has left?
I feel like everybody feels like, you know, they should be on the team. You know, and if you ask anybody on the team, would they feel like they belong, you know, in their own eyes. So I feel like I do, but I'm my own player. You know, I think about myself in a high regard, of course. So it's not my decision. Yeah, I didn't know I was out.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't know. I was on the bike. I was powering up. You know, I was powering up for that 2-minute drive because, you know, that's just a situation every quarterback dreams for.
Going to be the starter from before the whole thing started. Lewis, is the most important piece of this now seeing who the backup is?
Yeah, it probably.
One of these two rookies is going to get to play.
It has to play itself out. You just can't let that hang, you know, in limbo forever. Because look, that guy understands he's one snap away. So you have to give him some reps. You have to give him some attention in the meeting room, on the practice field, and he can't just run cards all week long. He can't just be a scout team guy. So either that's going to be Dillon Gabriel getting that, Kenny Pickett getting that, or Shedeur getting that. So yeah, that has to be decided upon. I'm sure he already has.
Should we read a lot into it, whatever it is? We shouldn't read a lot into who the backup quarterback is unless it's...
Kevin Stefanski finally did the impossible. No, not winning a Super Bowl with the Cleveland Browns. That's a fairy tale reserved for alternate dimensions. He did something far more shocking. He stood in front of microphones, cameras, and probably a very confused front office, and admitted that starting Joe Flacco over Shedeur Sanders was the biggest mistake of his coaching life. That's right. A man whose job description is basically find new ways to ruin Sundays suddenly decided to apologize.
I'm about to unleash about Shedeur Sanders. Just watch what happened to Shedeur Sanders in the Cleveland Browns' third and final preseason game. And I'm outraged, I'm sickened, and I'm saddened. By the way, Shedeur continues to be treated in the National Football League, now by those sorry-ass Browns and sorry-ass Kevin Stefanski.
Now, when the head coach of the Browns says he made his biggest mistake, you've got to ask, how big are we talking? Because this is a guy who once turned Baker Mayfield into a tackling dummy, designed game plans that made fans pray for a power outage, and somehow convinced himself that Deshaun Watson was a long-term solution. That's not a mistake. That's a resume of bad decisions. But apparently starting Joe Flacco tops the list, which makes sense, considering Flacco's mobility could be rivaled by a couch with squeaky wheels.
Walked up to you after taking his walk down to the pylon, and then he walked back up to you on the sidelines before Snoop went in, and he said something to you. You shook your head. I mean, was he trying to get back into it?
He's a competitive kid. The plan was to go with Snoop there, so... but I wouldn't make any more of it than that.
The Browns rolled him out there like it was 2012, expecting a miracle, when the only miracle was that he made it through a game without turning to dust. Flacco is basically a living museum exhibit titled Quarterbacks Your Dad Still Believes In. Meanwhile, Stefanski kept Shedeur Sanders glued to the bench, watching Cleveland lose games in slow motion while wondering if his coach had secretly taken up performance art. Because really, what else explains the decision? Was this football or an experimental comedy routine?
It's all about Kevin Stefanski's ego. We saw this with Baker Mayfield. Oh, it doesn't fit my system. Well, your system has to be about the players that are in it. And we've seen him do this because the offense was completely different when Dylan Gabriel was out there. It was a lot of, short, quick passes to get the ball out of his hands, spread the formation, which is great. That's what you're supposed to do for a guy that thrives in that situation. So I don't know why for Shedeur the offense changed. He kind of wanted to curate something around him. But at the end of the day, Shedeur recognized he had to play better. That game looked a lot like that UCLA game his first year in Colorado.
And then comes the apology tour. Stefanski standing there like he's confessing to war crimes, explaining how maybe, just maybe, benching the one guy fans were excited about in favor of Joe the Statue wasn't his brightest moment. No kidding. It's like realizing halfway through a road trip that letting your drunk uncle drive the family minivan was a bad call. Sure, you survived, but everyone's traumatized and the car smells like regret.
Yeah, Flacco started today, and I'll give you this, he played well. He was 9 out of 10 for 71 yards, threw a couple of nice balls. Dylan Gabriel played the second quarter and played well. He always plays well. I know him inside and out. I watched every snap he took for 2 years at the University of Oklahoma. Watched a lot of him at Oregon. He's a good little battler. He will, as he says, compete. He's a little better than Tua is, and he's sort of a carbon copy of Tua, also from Hawaii.
Shedeur Sanders has been the only thing keeping Cleveland fans from diving headfirst into Lake Erie this season. He's young, he's flashy, and at least he gives off the illusion of hope. And in Cleveland, hope is rarer than a playoff win. But instead of giving Sanders the keys, Stefanski tossed them to Flacco, who probably thought an RPO stood for retirement pension option. This wasn't strategy, it was sabotage disguised as wisdom.
Things that Kevin Stefanski is saying and the way he's going about things, some things are just not adding up. And Ryan Clark of ESPN basically exposed Kevin Stefanski this morning on Get Up. He had a very interesting take on Kevin Stefanski's motive. Also, this is all surrounded around naming Joe Flacco QB1 for opening day against Cincinnati.
And now, fans are supposed to applaud Stefanski for admitting he was wrong? Sorry, no. That's like a firefighter bragging that he finally realized gasoline doesn't put out flames. The bar is not that low, Kevin. Owning up to your own incompetence doesn't erase the fact that you put your team in quicksand and then ask them to run a marathon.
I'm not sure what game you guys are watching. Again, I state, Shedeur did play bad. He did. But why he played bad is clear as day if you understand the game of football and what he had to work with. Kevin Stefanski not letting Shedeur come back in the game to finish the 2-minute drill. Oh, I've never seen that before. I've never in my life ever have seen anything like that before. What are we doing? What are we doing? No disrespect to Snoop Huntley. Snoop is probably not going to be on the team. He's probably not going to be on the team.
What makes it even funnier is how public this apology was. He didn't just say it behind closed doors, he broadcasted it like he was auditioning for a soap opera. I made a mistake. Cue the dramatic lighting and swelling music. But let's be real, it's not courage, it's survival. Browns fans were already sharpening pitchforks, and he figured a little humility might buy him time. The only thing it bought him was another week of memes and angry callers on Cleveland sports radio.
Now the big question is, who is your QB2? Who's your QB3? Now, guys, if you really know what's going on in football in the quarterback position, sometimes teams don't carry 4 quarterbacks on the roster. So now you got the starting quarterback and you got the backup quarterback. And then the 3rd string and 4th string, they're probably demoted down to the practice squad or even let go.
You know who's loving this? Shedeur Sanders. Because nothing makes a rookie look more like a savior than being benched for Captain Fossil and then having the coach crawl back begging for forgiveness. Sanders didn't even have to say a word. His reputation just skyrocketed because Stefanski managed to fumble his own credibility harder than any player ever could. Sanders is now the guy who got an official apology before he even got a proper starting streak. That's legendary.
And they're not going to give up that position because their jobs are going to be on the line too to get one of those quarterbacks. So to your point, if the season plays out that way, and again, we don't know how it's going to play out, but if it play out that way, there won't be enough time or games left to evaluate either rookie. And then you turn the page to 2026. Okay, these two have had the majority of this season, hypothetically, to sit behind the veterans. Let's see what they've learned. Let's see what they've done in practice. Let's see what year 2 looks like for both of them being an NFL quarterback.
Meanwhile, Joe Flacco has to feel like the world's most awkward wedding guest. He shows up, everyone claps politely, then the bride apologizes for even inviting him. That's Flacco in Cleveland. 1 minute he's starting games, the next minute the coach is basically saying, "My bad, I never should have called you." Imagine being so ineffective that your boss issues a public press release begging forgiveness for ever putting you on the clock. Brutal.
I don't know exactly what Kevin's trying to say, but I think what Kevin is trying to say is, you know, the old coaching adage of if you don't practice, you don't play, right? Like, so the other guys on the depth chart have had injuries throughout camp, probably haven't been able to show, get enough practice reps to show what they get. And whereas Flacco has been, he's taken every rep he was scheduled to take. And I think that what Kevin is trying to say there is rooted in that idea of like, I mean, it's easy to sit here like the Cleveland Browns. What do you mean high standards? Correct. Like the worst. But
I can hear your brain grinding.
Yeah. But I think that's the point of like he's trying to explain the decision to go with Flacco by saying, look, we've seen it, we know what he can do, and the others still have to get it.
And Stefanski? Oh, Stefanski, this is your legacy now. Forget the Coach of the Year trophy from 2020. Forget the playoff win. Your career highlight reel will forever include standing in front of the world and admitting that you chose the football equivalent of a dial-up modem over an iPhone. You picked VHS over Netflix. You picked a horse and buggy over a Tesla. And now you want sympathy because you realized it too late. Cleveland deserves better, but Cleveland also signed up for this chaos decades ago. It's the only franchise where an apology press conference feels like a holiday. Fans will forgive Stefanski eventually, because Browns fans are used to pain, but they won't forget. The next time Sanders has a rough quarter, everyone's going to be side-eyeing the sideline, waiting to see if Stefanski pulls out the Flacco card again. And if he does, someone needs to stage an intervention before kickoff.
I mean, Kevin came in the room and talked to all of us, and we've all talked. I mean, yeah, we're in there. We're this close to each other every single day. I mean, there can be some awkwardness, but at the end of the day, like, we're all adults. We just want to be honest with each other, and we want people to be honest with us. And at the end, like, if you get that, we've all been through situations like this. You feel good about whatever it is. Honesty is the main thing. Looking somebody in the eye and having a conversation with them is the main thing. It doesn't mean you're going to be happy and all that with whatever's happened and going on, but I think that's all that any of us can ask for. So listen, the guys in that room are extremely professional, and we all know how to handle ourselves.
At the end of the day, Stefanski apologizing isn't about honesty, it's about survival. He knows the only thing standing between him and unemployment is Shedder Sanders pulling off enough miracles to distract from all the coaching blunders. Because if Sanders doesn't work out, this whole saga goes down as one of the great tragedies in Browns history. And that's saying something, because the Browns have enough tragedies to fill a library. So congratulations, Kevin. You finally said what everyone else already knew. Starting Flacco was a mistake. But let's not hand out gold stars just yet. It's not humility, it's damage control. And if this is your biggest mistake, we can't wait to see what the sequel looks like.